absolutely. Whenever you hear this beat, you know what time it is. The Polity happening live on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. We take a look at happenings in, around the nation, and of course outside of the nation. In fact, around the world. And of course, I'll be here to both strike and defend, because Franklin is up there in Oka, being our eyes. Not just Franklin anyways. We have our team in Oka, being our eyes, keeping us up to speed with everything happening with Mr. President's arrival today. But I have with me in the studio the Ogada Gidiwan of Osumoho, Tony Olisa Mbeki, to analyze all of the things happening. And of course, my name is Chisom Chinedu. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, Chisom Chinedu. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, this good people of Southeast. Good morning, FM Onitsha. This time around, we have to add in Doka because Mr. President will be touching down there. Even before then, he would just descend at Umweri Airport, because that will be the airport Mr. President will be using. And from Umweri Airport or Chinua Achebe International Cargo and Passenger Airport, Mr. President will drive straight to the new government house, where he'll be hosted by the chief host, the governor of Anambra State, His Excellency Mr. Governor Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, CFR. And then there will be other things Mr. President will be commissioning today. A lot of projects, but then the Solution Fund City, the new Governor's Lodge, the Presidential Lodge, the new government house, so many things lined up for Mr. President for commissioning today. So we're going to just take you, just like Chisom said, from time to time, and then let you know things happening around those areas.
So this visit today is going to be the first in the last 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. The last time a sitting president came to Anambra State was on the 19th of March 2023, and of course that was during the era of President Muhammadu Buhari.
I think that was campaign for pro-campaign. We are talking about the last time a sitting president came for commissioning of project was in 2019, when President Muhammadu Buhari came to Anambra State to commission the Zix Mausoleum and also the conference center around it. Outside that, the one you said was the one Mr. President came for his re-election. He came for campaign. So if you put it rightly, it means the last time a sitting president came to Anambra State for project commissioning, it was in 2019. That's sometime around 6 years ago.
All right, then. We have Onyebuchi out on the field already. Onyebuchi, can you hear me? Onyebuchi, are you there? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Onyebuchi? Good morning. Where exactly are you at the moment? Okay. You're still at Amobia. What was it like getting to Amobia from Onitsha this morning? Because last time I spoke to you, you said there was a route diversion towards Okbo, if I'm not mistaken. Can you give us a detail of what is happening?
Okay, well, security
okay.
Heights. Like, I don't know people have the chance to be able to so, bypass.
Okay. Okay, so I'm not very sure. Your background is not very clear, Buchi. Your background is not very clear, so I am just going to have to let you go at this point. Probably you put what is happening in writing, and of course we take it up from there.
welcome Mr. President. Anambra State Housing Development Corporation joins Mr. Governor Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, CFR, and the good people of Anambra State in welcoming His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, to the light of the nation. We are honored to have you in our great state. Mr. President, Anambra, the heartland of Igbo land, is delighted to host you, and we look forward to fruitful interactions and progressive engagements during your visit. Once again, Ekabo Asiwaju, we wish you a pleasant and successful visit to Anambra State. This message is sponsored by the Anambra State Housing Development Corporation.
Udala Radio, 104.7 FM.
Trying to get you up to speed with what's happening. Speaking to one of our guys on the field, Onyebuchi Ibebu, he said there is tight security along the Onitsha Enugu Expressway, very tight. He said, in his words, flooded with military personnel, and vehicles are being diverted to the Ubo bypass. That's it. Tony, you know the FM
when you said Ubo, I was shocked. I was like, from where?
Connection.
That's the kind of, but then I understand it's now Ubo,
yes.
And you expect such diversion for security reasons. So what it means that if you're applying from Onitsha, let's say from Tazan, from Nupas, from Buromi roundabout, or from even Opiweka, you are moving straight to Waka. Once you get to Ubo, there will be diversion, because if you do not divert, it means you are going straight to Amobia. So there is no connectivity between Ubo and Amobia right now. So what it means that you take diversion, because the idea is to ensure that the Mr. President entourage and those who would accompany him to this visit will have seamless, the seamless space for them to really commute. But the point is, I know some will frown at this and say, why will such a federal highway be diverted? Is it because Mr. President is coming? I think some security experts have given justification for that, saying that Mr. President will not take Ubo bypass because he has to, because he's going to just drive. He's going to go to Oka by road. His flight will stop at the airport, Umwe Airport. But one would say, if he wants, a helicopter can lift him from Chinua Achebe International Airport straight to the new government house. Probably that's not a part of the arrangement, because if helicopter will lift him from that Umwe Airport straight to the new government house, it means there will be no need for this diversion. But the planners or the organizers wanted him to travel by road. And the idea of traveling by road, that he will see also the Onitsha Enugu Expressway. There is a portion that is still uncompleted. And I was told that portion was actually contracted to MTN, where they are doing their own part in that road construction. So the idea of Mr. President traveling by road could be to enable him see some things firsthand. It could be part of the arrangement for him to see certain things firsthand and have probably
feel of what life is.
Ask questions about some of those things. But if he's lifted from the Umweri or Chinua Achebe International Airport straight to the new government by either helicopter and all that, he may not have firsthand feeling of some of these things we are talking about.
Most definitely. Well, as is customary on the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM, we have our newspapers on our desk. This morning we have the Vanguard, we have the Punch, the Nation, and of course Guardian newspapers. And kick-starting with the headlines on the Vanguard newspaper. Banner headline here of G4's reps differs with Senate over security summit. Has a couple of riders equipped local volunteers to confront Boko Haram. Ndume tells FG military, please recover a large cache of ammunition in Jos. Says unpredictable tactics helping terrorists. FG adopts a new strategy in war against terrorism. That's coming from the NSA. Another writer here urges media to deny terrorists bandits publicity. This one is on page 5. Now, above the nameplate of the paper, Afrexim Bank to fund African Energy Bank with $19 billion. That statement is credited to Lokobri. It's on page 20. On page 7, very dark man regains freedom after 5 days in an EFCC detention. Find this story on page 7 of the Vanguard newspaper. The factions, one party state will lead to anarchy. Jonathan has that to say on page 8. That's former president. Good luck, Jonathan. Governor Alia alleges plots to destabilize Benue, remove him from office. Find that story on page 13. Silence as a silent killer. How stigma hampers mental health struggles. That feature is on pages 14 and 15. Local councils, wards must transform to centers of inclusive development, please. Agudu has that to say on page 8. Labour Party moves against Abure, sets up disciplinary panel. The writer here, as Abure's faction suspends OT Kingigbe, others. That's on page 9. And on the sports column of the Vanguard, Egypt 2025 Flying Eagles reach quarterfinals after 2-2 draw with Kenya. That's on page 36. And we move over now to the next newspaper on our desk, which is The Punch. The Punch is headlined, major headline here rather, rising insecurity, FG orders new strategy amid fresh attacks in Borno, Benue. The rider here, Army Captain, Benue APC chieftain, others killed as terrorists wreak havoc on both states. That's on page 2. Senate passes 2 tax bills, rejects 10% VAT. Find this story on page 14. LP crisis, Abure probe begins, Kingigbe, others suspended. That's on page 7. On page 14, or is it 16 now? Page 14. It is 14. Benue Governor alleges removal plot. The Speaker's Conference tackles National Assembly. And now you'd find something coming from Vatican City. It says Pope Cardinals resume voting today after inconclusive first ballot. That story is on page 47, if I'm not mistaken. So Cardinals resume voting today. Power Minister opposes construction of 4,800 megawatts nuclear plant. That's on page 11. VDM released after 5 days in EFCC custody. That's on page 4. LG poll. Lagos APC pushes for consensus candidates in 57 councils. Find this one on page 12. On the Nation newspaper this morning, above the nameplate of the paper, IMF confirms Nigeria's full repayment of $3.4 billion COVID-19 loan. This is on page 7. Court admits Kanu's inciting broadcasts videos as exhibits. This one is on page 4. Black smoke signaled no Pope elected on day 1. Find that on page 4. Bagudu cancels wards must become centers of development. That's on page 2. Banner headline: NAF boosts air power against terrorists with 9 fighter jets. How many of them do we eventually get to use, Tony? Big question there. The story has riders. 49 more aircrafts coming. Baduru. Terrorist leaders among 13,543 killed. This is on page 2. Labour Party suspends OT Kingigbe, others. Rider here, Nenadi faction seeks financial probe. Another rider, Governor Abure, a clown looking for a crown. That's what Governor OT said. You'd find more details of that story on page 2. Rampers in Ekiti judiciary over exclusion of judge and CJ nomination. That's on page 4. And now proceeding to the Guardian newspaper. This morning, the banner headline on the Guardian on page 6. Tax reform advances as Senate debates closes, retains VAT at 7.5%. Find that on page 6. Above that, you'd find military kills over 13,000 terrorists, rescues 10,000 hostages in 2 years. That's on page 4. We've disbursed for 54 billion naira to 303 schools, 293,000 students, says NEL Fund. That's on page 3. Ganduje ready to welcome Kwankwaso as the faction hits NNPP. That's also on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Probe detects pilot error, indicts company in Wigwe's helicopter crash. Interesting revelation on page 4. FG to fast track cash transfers to 50 million households. Are we still on the palliatives? That's on page 4. How sustainable are they and how effective are they to the plight of the millions of Nigerians who are steady sinking deeper into the pit of poverty? And how sure are we that the persons who really need this aid are getting it and not some sort of political hand-downs to people who are connected to certain persons or who know certain persons? Court admits tapes of Kanu ordering Tinubu Wike's death, burning of FG property. The story is on page 3 of the Guardian. 500 aspirants jostle for 57 council chairmanship seats in Lagos. This is on page 5. Lagos, BOI Sterling Bank poll 10 billion naira to empower businesses, create 10,000 jobs. This one is on page 5. 2027, LP imperiled by counter sanctions, defections, infighting. That's in page 6. Eyes on conclave for new pope. Find that story on page 2. With us yesterday, we talked about that proposed security summit by the Senate, and of course reactions are trailing in from the end of the federal government. Now, if you just joined us, this is a Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Now, this particular headline, amidst the insecurity, of course, is making rounds, is making headways this morning. According to the Vanguard newspaper, FG Ford's reps differs with Senate over security summit. And the federal government yesterday battled the House of Representatives over claims that Boko Haram insurgents deployed weapons more sophisticated than those of the military in the war against terrorism. You'd recall that some members of the House alleged, on Tuesday, that the insurgents are using weapons more sophisticated than those deployed by the military in the anti-insurgency war, and warned the government against citizens' revolt if insecurity in the country was not resolved as soon as possible. Ministry of Defense Mohammed Baduru, who clarified, spoke on a day the National Security Advisor, NSA Malam Nuhu Ribadu, disclosed in Mina, Niger State, that the federal government has adopted a new strategy towards waging total war against all forms of terrorism and insecurity nationwide. Yesterday, it was a Senator Zainab Gimba that mentioned that some of these terrorists are beginning to use weaponized drones, and he made detailed analysis into the possibilities of how they access it. But the federal government, on the contrary, has a different opinion. The federal government claims that the military is properly equipped, and like the Igbos who say, because if the military is more equipped and properly equipped, why do we keep having them making gains, counting the bodies? I mean, it was in Zamfara, if I'm not mistaken, sometime last year, that a military armored vehicle was seized by these insurgents. According to report, it got into some sort of waterlogged area and couldn't move because of the situation of the soil. And so the military personnel had to take cover somewhere else. And we saw these insurgents dancing around this vehicle, talking about it capturing and all of that. But at the center of the conversation this morning is the fact that the Senate is calling for a security summit. Yesterday you called it a shift from the real matter, possibly another means of recouping spent funds. And the federal government is saying, we are prepared, we are equipped, and we are making gains. Where is the gap here?
I think we are just living in denial, just like we highlighted yesterday. We are living in denial. And then, just like the statement you were referring to was made by Ahmed Jaha, a member of the House of Representatives, representing Dambuwa, Goza, Shibok Federal Constituency in Borno State. He was making that very statement during their usual debate after their research that Boko Haram's insurgents are using armed drones to carry out attacks on residents. And he went on to say that the group's weapons, including these drones, are more sophisticated than those of the Nigerian military, highlighting recent attacks to where farmers were killed and others went missing or even were injured. So Jaha was making those remarks while contributing to a motion sponsored by Ahmad Satomi regarding a fire outbreak at the Giwa Barracks Armory and escalating attacks on military installations in Borno and Yobe states. So, but then he has got a kind of a refutal from the Minister of Defense, Abubakar Badaro, who actually said it's not true what he said, and disagreed with some members of the House of Representatives who made or who had bought such idea, saying that the drone sticks insurgents are using are civilian-graded drones, and the ones the military is using is the armed drones, so that you cannot compare the two. That the problem is not issue of equipment, that the country or the military has more equipments, more capable equipments than these Boko Haram insurgents groups. So that is the issue, but it takes us nowhere, because the idea of these people making use of drones, because the House member Jaha was really worried about how they can even use civilian-graded drones, if at all that is the drone they are using, the drone-like they are using. How could that get into their arms or even to their possession? But the National Security Advisor was saying that they are deploying a new tactic and then other new strategies to curb these menace, that they are trying to ensure that these firearms do not get into their hands. It's the same story from year to year, the same story, even right from 2013, even 2012. Tell me what has changed from that period till now. The same story, and we keep doing the same thing, expecting different answers. Yes. So it's just very unfortunate, if you ask me. You can't keep doing the same thing expecting different results. I have just said it yesterday that what is lacking is the political will. The political will. And the political will, we address quite a lot of concerns. How this insurgent group, how they have access to funds, how they have access to firearms. Some of these ammunitions we are talking about, these weapons, how these things get to their hands. It will address them. And it also address the infiltration of these people in the ranks of the military. The minister was saying yesterday that the kind of war they are fighting is not conventional war. It's a guerrilla style of war, a guerrilla-like of war. So in that approach, they get information from the locals, and these informants do give them everything about the military, and they jump at them, they ambush them. So that's what he said. But we have had this story from time to time. I mean, it's the same old story. Right? It's nothing new about this story they are telling us now. What is new? Because all this while, you have known how these people operate, how they get whatever information they think they get. What was their counter response to some of the things you have outlined, some of the things you've known? And we've talked about how you can use some cyber tools to disrupt their communications. Have their communications been in any way been able to be disrupted? Have you been able to place surveillance on their communications? Don't they communicate? What do they use to communicate? So we've asked quite a number of questions. It's a case where if we have got that political will, it will address some of these concerns. You can't just be telling us that they have their informants in the locals, they have their informants everywhere, they have infiltrated the same story. So what has government done about that over years? So, and we keep spending big, we keep spending so large on this issue. So does it mean that there are those who are benefiting from the whole expenses or from the whole budget? So this saying that another Maburu Ndinze, is it the case here? Someone will say outright that is the case, that if we end this insurgency today, so many people will go hungry. So many politicians will go hungry. Many of them will not even have money again. And many of them may not have money to run for election. So there is this thought that is becoming clear. So the point is, there is lack of this political will, and I keep maintaining, I keep saying this. There is lack of this political. Some people have said that, does it mean we cannot even bring mercenaries who are ready to fight? But then some have said those mercenaries are after the money. They may not do the work the way a military would have done the work. So it keeps having one, complaint or the other. Why this is coming up now is because of the regrouping of this insurgent group and how they renew their attacks in different parts.
Gadaro said something that caught my interest yesterday in his words. They, the insurgents, help the people we try to protect, and they get information from the people. They, insurgents, help the people we try to protect, and they get information from the people, and they jump at us the way we don't expect. We have much more sophisticated equipment. They, the people, give the information. Now the big question is, why would the insurgents have to help the people that the government is supposed to be taking care of? Number two, where does the people get the information of plans of the military from? Because it is not adding up, Tony. So, what is Badaro hinting at?
I think
Are we supposed to take the blame for all of this?
His statement is also indicting, because when you come out and say that the Boko Haram insurgents are helping the people, and the same people they help, they get information, they get certain things from them. So you asked another question: what stops the government from helping these people that Boko Haram has taken responsibility over? Is a pure indictment. So what that means that you've been unable to do your duty,
And they are doing it for
and
you.
then for the fact that you've not been able to do what you're supposed to do, and someone or non-state actor comes in to do that for you and has taken responsibility and get certain information which ordinarily could have gone to the military. So you ask, how are the military formations get their own information? You need to process this information, because once you process this information, it becomes intelligence we're talking about, and you cannot take on any operation without intelligence. Intelligence is a processed information. Any information processed becomes an intelligence. So the point is he trying to say that the Boko Haram insurgents have a better intelligence than the military? So for me, what he has said is just an indictment which ordinarily he couldn't have said. What Nigerians are waiting for is the political will to execute these tax. And these Boko Haram insurgents, just like the governor of Zamfara State maintained, and I keep quoting him and I keep repeating what he said. He said that he has evidence that the Minister of State for Defense collaborated with these people, aided them, abated them, and then had some working relationships. So can we investigate this? Find out if true this statement made by the governor of Zamfara State, Udala, if actually it's true. So can we make something or take something out of it? Let it be the starting point of that political will I have been preaching about. Because if you take that statement to mean anything, it could also mean that there could be protection from high places. There could be protection from high places. Because I know it will be easily dismissed by the former governor of Zamfara State, Metawale, that is a political statement that is coming from the opposition. So, but can we look into some of these statements? And not just that, other similar incidents where the high and mighty protect these people. Because ordinarily, there's no way they could have accessed arms, there's no way they could have accessed funds, there's no way they could have accessed some of these drones we are talking about, whether civilian graded or not civilian graded. They could not have accessed some of these things if not for the support of this high and mighty. So we also have to look in that direction as we look in other directions as well. So my concern has always been the same story from 2013 till date. What progress have we made? There were times we were told that we have been able to take them out of about 22 local governments. in Brunei State, because there was a time we were told that they hoisted their flags and then we made some kind of sweeping victories in those areas. Why can't we sustain those victories? What made us to slide back to where we were? So we have genuine, serious concerns. And until those involved comes out clean and then tell us the situation of things, we'll keep having the same story from time to time. We'll keep budgeting, we'll keep spending so much on this issue, money that could have gone to education, money could have gone to health and some other critical areas of our national economy, and we'll keep spending and without seeing tangible results.
You know, it's actually a very scary one. Unfortunately, the violence has been sustained in places like Benue State. It's also been sustained in other places like Borno State, unfortunately. Plateau State has not been on the news for quite some days now. Hopefully they are gradually getting to check what is happening there, because the figures we are being counted in their numbers, and I just couldn't get the pictures of how gory some of these scenes were out in my mind for quite some time. Speaking about Benue State and all of the insecurity happening there, the governor of that state earlier has alleged a plot to destabilize the state and force his removal. Now, he actually said it's a coordinated campaign to destabilize his administration and force the president to remove him from office. This is a statement credited to his chief press secretary, Kula Terso, at a press conference in Makurudi yesterday. He said the series of protests recently held in Abuja were sponsored by political detractors aiming to mislead the public and create chaos in Benue State. Do you think that all of those killings happening in Benue State are in any way politicized? And what would it cost the government of Benue State to tighten every loose hole that gives room for that supposed politicization with human lives?
I think Governor Leah is the one playing politics with the whole thing. From his statement, the statement he made, or through his spokesperson, Teso Kula, is also a political statement. He's politicizing the insecurity in Benue State, if you ask me, because I don't see reason why a sitting governor like Governor Hyacinth Alia would be alleging a coordinated plot by certain individuals to destabilize the state and orchestrate his removal from office. And then where he claimed the plot involved a campaign of misinformation, sponsored protests, particularly in Abuja, aimed at discrediting his administration, where he described these protests as not organic expressions of public sentiment, but rather calculated attempts by disgruntled elements to settle personal scores and advance a malicious agendas. I think that very statement by Governor Alia is what we can best describe as a politicization of insecurity in that very state. Because of protests, because of some statement made by some people over the killings in Benue State, asking questions, demanding actions, demanding prompt actions to tame, to stop some of these things. For you are reading political meaning into it, and you are concerned about their term in office, that these things are just done to orchestrate a move to remove you from office. For me, he seems to sound discordant. I think this is a discordant tune. He sounds so, and that shouldn't be. He should be telling us his efforts so far, what he has done, what he has committed to in ensuring that these killings we've had in Benue State comes to a knot. We've seen the efforts of Plateau State Governor Muftuwang, who has banned anything cattle movement, and then the Okada operation. There were some security measures the governor of Benue State has also taken, and the case involving engaging the stakeholders from time to time. And there had been also protests against the killings in Benue State, but he didn't come out this way to say that these protests were misinformation, calculated attempts to get him out of office. Governor Hyacinth Alia is the one playing politics. He should commit to work and leave politics. Yes, as a sitting governor, whether protest is organic or not organic, your concern should be what you are doing, the result on ground. So don't just come and start making wild allegation that there are some effort, orchestrated effort, or concerted effort to get you out of office. The question is, what have you done as a sitting governor? Even when we know that the federal government controls the military and other security apparatus, but as a governor, you should be telling us what you've done. What you've done. That's what we want to hear from you. Not your unreasonable politicization of the insecurity going on in Benue State. You should not politicize it. But I'm aware that he's so much concerned about his second term coming back. But even when the tax before you is roughly undone, so he should stop politicizing this. And most times, his chief press secretary comes out with statements awkward as the one we have today. Very awkward.
Very awkward, you'd say. Anyway, speaking about politicizing, Labour Party is also not having it nicely. It's been a battle of words between the Abure-led faction, the OT-led faction, suspension from the Nenadi Usman-led faction, Tony. How would you make sense of all of that wrangling and, of course, infighting?
I think both of them, they are just acting Nollywood. So that's what both of them are. That's what they're doing. Abure and Nenadi Usman. They are just acting Nollywood. And both of them, I think Abure should be good as a Nollywood actor. I don't know what he's doing in politics. So for him, politics is where to make money. His time is up as the national chairman of Labour Party, as stated by the Supreme Court. You can't just be there for a long time. Your tenure has expired. And there was this subtle warning about those who would remain in office after their tenure had expired. So there was this subtle warning. If you look at that Supreme Court judgment and some of the resolutions, I keep referring to some of the issues brought before the court by Nenadi Usman faction, which the court says we are resolved in favor of the appellant because they were the appellant in that landmark judgment. I don't know what Akpure is clinging on to. I listened to what Oti called him because he said he has suspended Oti. His faction said they have suspended for anti-party activity. That's, most times the same thing that we did discuss when APC in Anambra State said they have suspended Honorable Fanyi Bezin for 1 good year. And you keep asking some of these political merchants, they are in politics for the money and no more, no legs. So that's exactly what we saw.
Speaking about the money, the Nenadi Usman-led caretaker committee, of course backed by OT, and of course P2B, said they have commenced an investigation into numerous corruption and forgery allegations leveled against Julius Abure. And I am curious to find out, I've been trying to make a mental calculation of when all of these things started. After the 2023 election, they had the whole of 2024, and they have elections happening in certain places, including Anambra State this year. They're supposed to field a candidate. They haven't put their house together. They haven't reconciled their accounts for that election and all of that. And I am wondering, all of these investigations, to what end? Especially where they have different factions. Who has the accurate account for starters?
I think, INEC is the one taking the whole thing and then making it look messier. I don't know what INEC is waiting to tell us what they have understood by statement or the judgment of Supreme Court. They have been studying the judgment for quite a long time, and it's not helping matter. Because if they had done their work and do what Supreme Court instructed, by now the parties should know where they belong, or factions should know where they belong. So INEC delayed response to the Supreme Court judgment is also contributing to this. That is one. And then you look at what has been going on between the Nenadi Usman faction that are investigating bribery allegation, forgery allegation against Abure, which stems from claims that he and other LP officials forged documents during the 2023 general elections. And then if you look at some of these allegations, which was actually initially raised by complainant like Ezoko, which sent on Abure, and National Secretary Umar Farouk Ibrahim allegedly forging a signature withdrawal letter submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission during the 2023 election. Specifically, it is claimed that they allegedly removed Ukez as the LP gubernatorial candidate for Ebonyi State, despite the Supreme Court ruling affirming it as a valid response. It's one of the allegations leveled against him, and then also a forensic audit and certified true copy of a police investigation report cited by the Usman-led caretaker committee, and that very report allegedly substantiated these charges of perjury, forgery, and criminal conspiracy, which they say that they're also looking into again. And the Nigerian Labour Congress and LP stakeholders, including the Nigerian Corruption Watch magazine and many other, they have demanded Abure's prosecution alongside Ibrahim Ojukwu Clement and so many other. So these are some of the things they want to go back to, because we have had this before now. So the idea, there could be some political undertone or political undercurrent to these things. It's a way to smear him and tell him that you have a lot of baggages, even though Supreme Court has made a statement that your tenure is over. But there is more to that, because you must account for some of these things, and this perjury and some other cases. So I remember that even there was a time, sometime around October 25th, the Commissioner of Police Legal Prosecution Section forwarded a case diary to the Attorney General of the Federation, establishing a prima facie case for prosecuting Abure and others for such forgery and other related crimes. So their case is not just here; it's just a long political thing. But the point remains that the Nenadi Usman, just like you rightly said, announced that there will be formal inquiry into the Abure for multiple accusations of corruption, forgery, and misconduct. And then that was, I think, some days back, or it was yesterday, that a disciplinary panel was constituted to examine these claims, with Usman issuing a 48-hour ultimatum for Abure to respond and describing him as an impostor for continuing to act as a chairman of the party. In fact, the committee also accused Abure of violating a 2023 FCT High Court returning order that barred him from parading himself as national official of the party, which they alleged that he conducted an illegal NEC meeting in Asaba sometime around April 17, 2023. So we've had dozens of digs from time to time. So it's all of their political wrangling, and many Nigerians are not, in fact, looking in their direction this time around. So they must take certain pragmatic steps, which they have not done. So he's expected, he's awaited, and we're expecting them to do something on that, because the way Labour Party is, for me, he's still in coma. He has not resurrected, and it seems to be lifeless as we speak now. We've seen their members leaving the party, joining APC, and nothing on ground to show for it, for it. As we speak now, they have just about how many members in the House of Representatives? I don't know. But that number keeps diminishing from time to time. So it's just two persons. We've just, I just put both of them. They're acting drama. They are dramatic personnel to this issue. And look at what Oti called Abure. He called him a clown looking for a glory, or a crown. Sorry,
a clown looking for a crown.
A clown looking for a crown. So that's the way Oti reacted to Abure suspending him and others from the party. So that tells you a lot. And Abure seems to be now saying, on your mandate we stand. Most times when they fight this, they try to tie their apron to Mr. President, so to have a legitimacy. That's what Abure is saying. And you remember when one of their spokesperson came out to say that why would Dati Ahmed be describing the government of President Ahmed Bola Tinubu to be legitimate, this we cannot take, trying to paint that picture that you can't just say things against Mr. President. Remember, Mr. President is in APC. You're in Labour Party. So why are you drawing Mr. President who is in APC into Labour Party? What was the reason? And what is your reason for doing that? So this tells you that it's all about politics of infrastructure, stomach infrastructure. That's what these people are doing. That's what they're into. Politics of stomach infrastructure. So they keep doing it, they keep repeating the same thing. So if they could prevail on INEC to do what the Supreme Court has mandated by giving certain recognition, by giving recognition to authentic faction, it will go a long way for any of these factions to ask for review of the Supreme Court's judgment. None of them has gone back to the Supreme Court to ask for review because INEC hasn't accorded recognition to any faction. By the time INEC accords maybe recognition to Nenadi Usman, Abuja will be forced to go back and ask questions. He will be forced to go back to court. to ask some questions. And all this drama, at least will save us some, because these are distractions. People are talking about real governance, people are talking about the economy, people are talking about the state of things in this country, and these people are distracting us.
Speaking about real governance, the state of things in the country, I mean, talking about the political circle and what has been happening, you know, the massive move from different parties to the APC has been alleged to be shifting towards a one-party system. And former President Goodluck Jonathan has spoken on that. On the Punch it says, backdoor, one-party system, dangerous for Nigeria. Jonathan. And former President Goodluck Jonathan has warned against the covert establishment of a one-party system in Nigeria, cautioning that such a move could destabilize the nation's fragile democracy. Speaking at a memorial lecture held in honor of the late elder statesman Chief Edwin Clark in Abuja yesterday, Jonathan emphasized the dangers of political manipulation aimed at sidelining opposition parties. The former president noted that while countries like Tanzania practices a one-party system, it was properly planned for, stressing that Nigeria's complex ethnic, religious, and political landscape necessitates a more inclusive political framework. Tony, I think we have our guys at the field calling to tell us what's happening out there. Let's hear who is on the line. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Chisom.
Good morning. Good morning, Franklin.
Okay, so currently, I'm the Dr. Alexis Square,
Okay.
which is the venue for the reception of Mr. President, who
Okay.
is coming to Anambra State today, because this is where the main event is going to be happening. Because there are other things he's going to do. We know that he's coming to Anambra State to commission some which have been executed by the governor of Anambra State. Among these very projects, about 4 or 5 of them stand out. But before we get to those very projects, let's begin with the environment we have here, Dr. Alex Ekweme Square. If you are traveling from Onitsha to Oka, the capital of Anambra State, once you get to Nteje, where we have the Dr. William Obiano Boulevard, which leads to Anambra Airport, of course, you will know, then everybody telling you that something is happening in Anambra State today. Because from that very place to Oka, the roads are sparkling clean, and at the same time, you will see some diversions at some point in time. So if you're moving from Onitsha to Oka, by the time you get to O Junction, of course, you have to take a dive back to the old road for you to be able to access Oka. Now, when you get to Oka, you get to Aroma Junction. That road that leads to Zix Avenue is barricaded. There are security men who are there mounting checks to ensure that things are kept in order. In fact, there's no vehicle coming from Oka side that can divert to the other lane of the expressway as if you are going back to Onitsha. So once you are coming from Onitsha, you maintain straight and begin to head towards Amansi. Then, getting to the Ebuka Square Boulevard, of course, everywhere is also sparkling clean. You can see the road dividers painted in black and white, and all the street lights here, they are all done with billboard of Mr. President and then the governor of Anambra State. Then some of them reads, Anambra is rising, solution is here. And so if you get to that aroma, except you are coming with a private vehicle, if you are coming with a commercial vehicle, of course, you have to stop at aroma, trek down to the Ekweme Square for you to be able to have access to this very place. So we can conveniently say that there is tight security around this very area. I have seen men of the Nigerian police force, I have seen NSCDC officials, I have seen the road safety, and all that security agencies. They are all here to ensure that things go in order. Then, at Aroma Junction, there are canopies lined up there for different groups who have come around to witness and at the same time welcome Mr. President on this very auspicious visit to Anambra State. Now, at the Alex Ekweme Square where I am right now, I have cited different groups whether they are from the APC or from the PDP, they are all here waiting for Mr. President to arrive and for them to greet him and then have this very conversation that is very important to them. From what we gathered, Mr. President is going to have a town hall at Dr. Alex Ekweme Square. By the time he must have done the commissioning of the Fun City, don't forget that the new government house is just a stone throw from Dr. Alex Ekweme Square. In fact, if you are standing at the Dr. Alex Ekweme Square, you can see the buildings, the new buildings littered there. The Anambra Tower can be sighted from here. So I must say that it's a beauty to behold here. And very importantly too, fire servicemen are here too. So in case there's emergency, that they are here to ensure that things are kept under control. So that's what I can report for now.
All right, Franklin, thank you very much. We'll keep in touch. If anything changes, you definitely let us know, all right? And of course, when Mr. President arrives, you definitely let us know.
Yes, we'll keep you posted because from the invitation that went out for this very event, it was announced that Mr. President is going to arrive here by 10 a.m. But from what I gathered from government sources, his arrival here in Oka could be between 11 and 12 noon. So by the time he arrives and things begin to unfold, of course, definitely we're going to keep you in the loop for you to know what is happening on here. But the moment you get any other scoop about any development, we'll still let you know.
All right. Thank you very much. You stay safe out there.
All right.
And then we have also reported the streaming and some of the activities will begin by 1 p.m. So for us to have that in our minds, the activities will begin by 1 p.m. So that also, Mr. President's arrival could be around 12, as he said, but then activities will be by that time, by 1 p.m.
So we're going to quickly touch on that talk about the one-party system and its proposed or its expected dangers to a democracy like ours, especially as regards our multi-ethnic nature, Tony.
We've thought about the issue of a one-party system here, and then we have also been able to expose how dangerous it could be, because we've seen countries that practice such a system, and then you ask yourself this question: where are they today? China, for instance, practices a one-party system because they have just the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, and then China being governed by CCP. Remember the last time we talked about this, I did say how the Democrats were expelled and they ran to Taiwan. If you look at Cuba is practicing one-party system, and that party is Communist Party of Cuba, PCC. So it's the sole legal party defined as the leading force of society and in the state. And then that very party, the system is Marxist-Leninist, with no opposition parties allowed to campaign or hold power. Elections occur, but candidates are vetted by the party. So there is no opposition in Cuba, no opposition in China. Anybody who raises voice of opposition will be treated as somebody who has committed treasonable felony. Even in our own Africa here, you have Eritrea that also practices a one-party system, the People's Front for Democracy and Justice, PFDI. There's no opposition in that very country. There's also a country many may not even know, Laos. They also practice one-party system, and Laos People's Revolutionary Party, that's the party system. And then you know about North Korea. Their ruling party, the Workers' Party of North Korea, WPK. And then no opposition. In fact, the Kim dynasty maintains eternal rule, and opposition parties are banned. Elections are formalities with the WPK, the North Korea Workers' Party, or Workers' Parties of North Korea, winning and controlling all the candidates. In Vietnam, the same thing. Communist Party of Vietnam, CPV. So opposition is banned in those countries. So if you look around, these are countries that their owns are more formalized. So, but then if you come to Africa, you have countries like Angola, Equatorial Guinea, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and then they appear to have a multi-party system. But in reality, what they have is just one party system, because the Movement for the Liberation of Angola, MPLA, which is considered a dominant party system, they are holding power since independence in 1975. Although opposition parties exist, but they just exist in principle. That's for Angola. Even if you go back to Equatorial Guinea, you have the Democratic Party of Equatorial Guinea, and they dominate every aspect of government. In fact, their domination is through suppression and electoral manipulation through opposition parties that are haunted, abused. But opposition is permitted, but you do that at your own risk. You practice opposition at your own risk. That is for Equatorial Guinea. The same is also for Zimbabwe. You remember ZANU-PF, which has been historically a de facto one-party state under Robert Mugabe from 1980 down to 2017. And ZANU-PF remains dominant through multi-party election. It remains dominant, though multi-party elections occur, but it's just a formality. We've seen how opposition party or opposition candidates, how they are being imprisoned and then sent to jail. So even Russia, remember, is a kind of a one-party state. Though there could be oppositions during elections, but it's just in principle. The same thing appears to be the case in Syria. So we can go on. We wouldn't want Nigeria to join this league. This league is not a Champions League. I don't know the name of the league these people practice. I don't know what name to even brand this league, but it's not a good league. It's not a good league. So one-party system is a dangerous situation. But some will tell you that there are some countries where even though it's been practiced, but it has helped the country, like China. China is doing good because the ruling party commits its working population into what? Production, with all manner of support. So you can even talk about it, because there are things you cannot say in China. You cannot raise voice against the government, whether they do it good, whether they do it bad. That's one thing about one-party system. So here in Nigeria, we've seen people delving into APC, and the shout of one-party system is now being reverberated in different quarters. So, but there's never going to be a time there will be one-party system in Nigeria. It's not going to work. Even if all of them joins APC, one-party system will not work in Nigeria. It's not going to work. So, but the point remains, the time for the electorate to hold leaders accountable, hold them to account, and also take opportunity to decide who becomes a leader. Just like Olisa Mbeki said, one of the periods he came here, he said, vote counts, but at times votes are tampered with. The professor we talked about the other time, who conducted Akwa Ibom Northwest Senatorial District, the one we are told favored Ababio in 2019, who was recently convicted by appeal courts. We are told that he added fake 5,000 votes to the real votes to change the course of the outcome of the election. So what that means, that real votes counted, but he just added. So they keep tampering with votes. Either they reduce, or they add, or they rewrite. So they keep tampering. All these things are tampering, in the sense that vote will definitely count, but they will tamper with the results in many ways, in different ways they want. So the most important thing is for us to have the kind of reforms we have, where power truly belongs to the people, the sovereignty belongs to the people. And election or result tampering, we have more of the convictions, as we saw in the case of Professor Peter Urban. So we would want to have more of that, and have a kind of reform expected of emerging democracy like Nigeria, and get involved in electioneering processes. So if we don't come out, politicians will have a field day. It becomes so easy for them. That's why we keep preaching to our people, no matter how bad it is, still come out. You are coming out to make it difficult from one point to the other for them. If it's going to be easier for them, if they are going to do this in 1 hour, or 2 hours, or 3 hours, by the time all of us come out, it becomes difficult for them. It may take almost a day for them to get what they want. This is something ordinary they would have got in 2 hours or even less than 30 minutes if you don't come out. So we keep explaining this to our people. So we will get there. We will get there. Definitely we will get there one day.
Definitely, we will get there someday, hoping that we would have a democracy that represents every, would I call it every part of what we stand for as a nation. And we have a nation where the people are genuinely interested in what really plays out in terms of politics and democracy, and not, the money politics where they only get involved if there is a hand down and all of that. And where the people also have policies made to suit them. And now, speaking about policies, this is actually a top story, and of course, this is going to be the last story we'll take a look at before we open up the phone lines. According to Ajero, Labour is demanding cost of living allowance amid worsening economic hardship. Now, the issue of wage review beyond the national minimum wage has become a trending discourse within the Labour movement, especially because of the increasing rate of inflation even before the implementation of the 70,000 naira new national minimum wage. During May Day, it was also strengthened in the joint statement of the President of the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC and the Trade Union Congress TUC counterparts, and speaking about Joe Ajero and Osifo Festus respectively. And so after that, Joe Ajero has given insights into this issue, among others, hinting that the issue of cost of living allowance will be the next battle with the government and employers. I've been thinking, isn't this the same as the what's it called now? The palliatives that we are handed down by the federal government and different governments to help the people manage inflation better. In Anambra State, if I recall vividly, I think the Anambra State governor gave 12,000 naira to support workers during the whole inflation, at the peak of the whole inflation thing. And so I am wondering, this argument coming from Labour, especially where we are not supposed to be reviewing the minimum wage up until 3 years after the last implementation was made, is this going to materialize to anything, or should Labour channel its energy towards something possibly more realistic at the time in question?
I think Labour seem not to be in tandem with the realities of our time. You are asking for what you term cost of living allowance in this country, even when some states are not even paying the 70,000 naira minimum wage, and those who are paying have not even adjusted the payment to reflect other cadres of engagement, that is, making consequential adjustments as the case may be. So you had your May Day on May 1st, and then you reiterated demands for a living wage, citing unfulfilled government promises on wage increases and palliatives post-subsidy removal. Some of these things you were demanding at that time. Were you not the same Labour that went to Aso Rock and you were singing, "He's a jolly good fellow, he is a jolly good fellow"? And that was their song. And then you were doing greatest boza to Mr. President. Give him a greatest boza. And now you are feeling cheated. You are feeling as if you have been stripped of your hard-earned money. And many Nigerians warned you. You never listened. And now you are back to demand for a cost of what you call the minimum or cost of living allowance. So it's important to let them know that they will not get it from the look of things. So it's just a tall dream, if you ask me. But then because if you look around the world, there are countries that pay something similar to that. There's what we call unemployment insurance fund in South Africa.
Unemployment
insurance trust fund.
Unemployment, you say? Labour is fighting for the employed.
No, that's what I'm saying. Labour are not even considering those who are unemployed. But remember, the unemployment figure has gone down because of calibration of the way we calculate unemployment in Nigeria before
exactly.
now.
I was going to say, well, how do we calculate? Because the last time I checked, the figure the Bureau of Statistics brought out was quite flawed.
How would you say flawed?
I mean, how can you say that we have only 4% unemployed people? And according to them, it is because most people now work at least 1 hour daily. 1 hour.
I think
do you know what minimum wage for 1 hour is?
So
and you call that employment? I
think you may factor why they did what they did. So I think I have explained this, and it's important, and that's what that's the same calibration other countries are using. But Nigeria before now, we have not been using it. And the way you define unemployment is it has to do with situation where those who are willing and able to work finds no work at all. That's unemployment. Where certain people or someone who is able, ready, and willing to work finds no work. And when you want to calculate unemployment, you start calculating those who are doing informal work on maybe those who are doing some informal work. You can't factor them into unemployment category because they have something at all they are doing. I think that's just what other countries are using. And Nigeria decided to go back to what other countries are using to calculate their unemployment. So we are told that as at last third quarter of 2024, the unemployment rate in Nigeria was about 4.3%, which was a decline from 5.3% in the first quarter of 2024 and about 5.0% in third quarter of 2023. But if you have to do it year on year, so the point is the calibration being used or being adopted this period has to do with those who are willing, able, and ready to work but cannot find anything at all, irrespective of, because when you find something at all and that thing is you are doing it just 1 hour per day, that is under unemployment. Is not unemployment, because people do not understand the difference between under unemployment and unemployment. Before now, we calculate under unemployment and factor it into unemployment, and that's what makes the figure to be as high as 40%. If at all you do anything, then you make something out of anything. If you go out to watch for someone, do laundry for someone and get money out of it, and it is something that you do once in a week, for the fact you do it once in a week, is also part of, you cannot be categorized into unemployment, but you can be categorized into under unemployment. I think that's the basis why you have the figure. Before now it was about 43%, 40% down to 4.3%. So remember, there are different types of unemployment. You have frictional unemployment, you have structural unemployment, cyclical unemployment, seasonal unemployment, and then you can also factor on the unemployment. But on the unemployment, many statisticians and economics have never factored on the unemployment to be part of what? Unemployment. It cannot be unemployment. So, but there are people who do their work seasonal, but those seasons that are not at work, they may be classified to be unemployed. That is seasonal unemployment. Their unemployment comes as a result of season. And then when you also talk about cyclical unemployment, it's purely as a result of economic downturns or policy shocks, reducing labor demand, tied to business cycles. There are some business cycles already established, but there are some policies either from the government or some certain economic downturns that reduce labor demand for some of these business cycles. That is cyclical unemployment for you. So we can go on and on and on, but I'm not just holding brief for anybody. But the point I'm trying to make here is this: that the labor, the NLC, they have not for sometimes factored those who are not working. Their interest has always been the working population. What about those who are not even seeing anything at all and are demanding cost of living allowance? Are they in Luxembourg? Are they in Netherlands, Denmark, Finland, Iceland? I don't know, most times they dream as if they were in those countries. Don't they have they don't know the kind of leaders we have in this country? They should know the kind of leaders we have in this country. So let's not talk about their demand for cost of living allowance. If the CNG buses they were promised, they should start from that CNG buses, demanding it from government that you should make adequate provision for CNG buses as promised by you and being one of the conditions for the pump price increment and other things. You look at some of the agreements you've had with the government, you are now bringing in another one. So I'm just telling them they should study the environment very well before making some demands or making some alterations. So it's important that they should also consider those who are not working at all. They should consider those who are not working, because there are those who are not working. And then we've seen where Labour has played oversight to government policies in some other countries. There was a day I was mentioning some other oversight functions that had played in places like UK, Canada, and even United States of America. But how can you best describe their last engagement with the president, where they were singing for him that he's a jolly good fellow? Is Mr. President not a jolly good fellow now? What has changed? Yes, what has changed? Because last time you were in Aso Rock, you were singing he's a jolly good fellow. Is Mr. President not a jolly good fellow now? What has changed? I mean, the Labour people sometimes, I don't know if they do drink anything or smoke anything and then come out and talk. It's important. They should be very guided. They should have a position. They should have integrity. They should have respect. Before now, when Labour talk, Nigerians quake. It's not the kind of Labour we have now. Things have changed. So bad. Just give them money now, they will still sing for you now. Just throw money, they will sing for you that you're a jolly good fellow. Even me, they will sing for me.
Oh well, stomach infrastructure has to be taken care of, Tony. It's nothing new. And of course, we are going to open up the phone lines now. What do you have to say? What are your thoughts and your perceptions to the topics that we've conversed on this morning? Remember that we started off with checking up on our guys on the feud, because Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to be in Anambra State today, May 8th, 2025. Also, we've talked about the federal government faulting reps and differing with the Senate over the security summit that was proposed. And we also looked at the LP crisis. Abure's probe is supposed to begin by the Nanadi Usman faction, and of course the suspension of certain persons by the Abure faction, and the perception of the likes of Oti, who described Abure as a clown looking for a crown. And also we have looked at Labour's demands and the perception of Goodluck Jonathan of what's happening with all of the defections in the country. What's your take? Good morning.
Wonderful morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Dr. Olisa Mbeki, good morning to you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Honorable Dika, and I'm calling you from Onitsha.
Go ahead, DK.
To today, the coming of President Bas to Anambra State. Let me applaud the governor, Chukuma Soludo. In fact, I'm celebrating him. Whether the president commissions, the projects are already there. It's now left for him to cue in into what the governor is doing. You see, Anambra State is one state that, we set the pace. Starting from, when democracy was there. We know what precinct it is. Chukwuemeka mentioned them, but the Jew. Most of these governors did amazing things. Now we now have the solution. Who is doing wonderful things before our eyes. So it's now left for the president to follow through, commission this project, and go back and, talk to the APC governors. It's not enough for them to people jump from PDP to Labour Party, from Republican to Democrat. That's not the issue here. Just like the Honorable Speaker rightly pointed out about the Benue governor, who kept on, I would suggest that Governor Ali must have to go back to the seminary. Seriously, even when Otom was there as the governor of Benue, he kept on coming on with ideas. We were thinking that let's hand over to a clergyman that is to have something special for Benue. Now he's in the circle of leadership and have nothing to deliver. What can we lay hands on that we can say that Ali have done? Unlike Soludo, unlike Governor Oti. These are men that are doing amazing things with little resources in their hands. Apart from the IGR, the governor is generating here, what's Anambra State allocation to compare to Delta? The governor of Delta will tell you that I'm joining APC just because I want to get closer to the government. It is your project to set on ground that attracts most of these men to you. You don't run after them, they're after you. Just like Obasanjo was last time in Abia State. So these are the ways it has to I will also ask that the president has to come here, see things for himself, go back and talk to the governor. If they could do a bit of what the governor is doing here, Nigeria will be a little relief. So I think sliding into one-party system is uncalled for. That is what Nigerians bargained for. No, Nigerians didn't bargain for it. We know what played out in the election. We know who won the elections. But if that is the case, assuming it's the right person that is there, this issue would have not been coming up. But because INEC did what they did, they grabbed it and they ran. That is why we are here today. So he coming here is a turning point. He can from what's going on here because it's the people that gave Soludo the mandate. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for your contribution. Let's hear what you have to say. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mohammed. Yeah, this is one just calling from Asaba.
Go ahead, please. You have 2 minutes.
Yeah. If you see, if we are saying that some of all these parties are working with this, people will be complaining. You can see what is going on with Afro now. Why Afro is holding on to power? Why does he hold all this power? Why can't you let that office on a bigger fight, a good fight? But you look at everything against him now. So he has said that he's fighting a just cause for the common man in this country. He would have left that office rather than be fighting with the eminent people in the party, quality people names doing this. Let him go to court and let the court interpret the judgment for him. And let it be the entertainment letter for us. So I know if there is any reason for him to, you are saying that you are going to be continue being the labor chairman without doing anything like conference or anything that will not put you in. No election, nothing. I'm not saying that you mustn't be there when Nigeria is like this. Because it's because of the money that is coming out. Because people are questioning that APs are giving these people 50 million naira every month. People will be saying because there's the money involved. That is why you refuse to let that place. Because I'm so angry and so disappointed with some certain shaman that people will say that your tenure is not enough. You can go. You still exist being there. So if you look at all these things very well, you don't understand that there's no different Nigeria anywhere. We are all Nigerians and we are all one. We act like one entity, even the president, the governor, and anybody that you can think of. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, good morning. Hello. Hello. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Hello. Okay, now you may need to reconnect. The numbers again are 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Tony Mbeki.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Chidi Chukuma reaching you from board this morning.
Go ahead, Chidi.
Yeah, let me speak on this proposed security summit. Yet, it is necessary. I don't think that there is any need to politicize it. You see the challenges that we are facing, the security challenges. So there is a need to have this summit, even more often than ever before. And we need to look into our army, the equipment, even when they claim that they have acquired this and acquired that. We need to take an inventory, comprehensive inventory. Let's take the stock and know whether there is any new equipment. Yesterday, the Dr. Olisa Mbeki, you gave the account of the new purchases. That may be on the media. We need to look into their stock and know whether those purchases have been made or not. Because during the time of Buratai, the one Major General, I can't remember the name, that a Yoruba man, Major General, he was in the Sambisa forest, told the voice note. He told the Buratai, he was communicating with him, and he told him that he is there, right inside the Sambisa forest with the army. That our men media that they bombarded more than the 200 and something bombardment, and they couldn't reply them with the equal or even more potential, because that means that they don't have much in stock to reply their back. So after that narrative, the what is in demand phase was demotion. Why did you make such assertion? Why did you talk? You see that there is something wrong somewhere in our military. The money that they have been investing in equipment from 1999 up to date, nobody can give account whether actually they make any new purchase. Not talking of purchasing a fighter jet or combat helicopter. Where are those helicopters and where are those? And even when the purchase is made, because of a political situation there, somebody will say, no, please don't bombard. That if you bombard that place, it will cause a collateral damage. And so on. Only when it is here in the southeast, you see different bombardment, even close to residential area. The Sambisa forest must be reserved, because if you bomb that place, it will cause collateral damage. That is a situation in Nigeria. So we need to take a comprehensive inventory and know what we have and what we don't have. Good morning.
Good morning. Let's hear what you have to say. Good morning. Okay, now you may need to put that call out again. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. You're on. You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, Emeka speaking from Onitsha.
Go ahead, Emeka.
President Tinubu's visit to Anambra State is good. Very, very good. But have we forgotten who Mr. President is? Mr. President is not in Lagosian, but he ruled Lagos State for 8 years. And for that 8 years, he was busy installing himself in every nook and cranny of Lagos. As of today, Lagos State is in his palm. I believe he will also do that to Nigeria. We are in a big problem. Let me stop here. Thank you so much.
All right, then. Thank you for your contribution. Good morning. Let's hear what you have to say. You're on. Go ahead.
I am Badmos. I'm calling from Onitsha right now.
You have 2 minutes, Badmos. Please go ahead.
Let me go straight to the point. The issue of insecurity in the north. Since the governor of Imo State and the Anambra State came up with going after all these native doctors. Last time, have you heard about kidnapping or all these criminal activities in these two states? When did you hear about unknown gunmen again? They have all disappeared. So if the North want to tell themselves the truth, especially their politicians and the governors, let them go after all these traditional or Islamic clerics that have all these powers to give bandits, so that when villagers are shooting them, you won't see them when they are coming and other things. Before a terrorist or a criminal can go into attack, they must go into all these traditional, all these British doctors to fortify themselves. So if you get rid of all these native doctors and British doctors, you will see all this terrorism will fizzle away. So until they do that, we are wasting our time. On the coming of the Mr. President, I will tell. Thank you.
All right, then. He said time will tell. Speaking about the coming of Mr. President, Tony Mbeki, the confusion about which camp is having the president over, the back and forth over APGA and APC, and what I call it, some persons have called it a fusion of APGA and APC. So much of analysis happening out there. But I cited pictures of Prince Dr. Nicholas Ukachukwu Ikukwoma welcoming the president to Anambra State. It has an APC logo. Also, there is another one of Sir Paul Chikuma of YPP welcoming the president to Anambra State. Now, I am just curious to find out, I mean, Mr. President is coming. Does he really have to have a party connotation?
I think we have just defined the purpose of his coming. He's not coming for campaigns. He's coming to commission projects. But remember, these other candidates of the different political parties, they are trying to go on it with a political meaning. Because just like we said, speeches will be made. There is no time, Mr. President, in one of his speeches, by the time he will be engaging with different stakeholders in a town hall meeting, where he would not praise Governor Soludo. He will praise him. And such praise is as good as endorsement. So you look at why Okachukwu is running around the corner to see if he could, but then they may not even allow him there.
Quite interesting. Franklin is on the line. What's happening, man?
Okay, so thank you, Chisom. So we are still at the Dr. Olisa Mbeki Square, the venue for the reception of Mr. President, who is coming to Anambra State today for a working visit. As we speak now, there is ongoing accreditation. Various groups were mobilized from different places to come today for the welcoming of Mr. President. So at the main gate of Dr. Olisa Mbeki Square, they are doing accreditation as we speak. But I stumbled into something very, very important regarding what is happening today, because, in the build-up to today, there was this very room about whether there's going to be rivalry between the ruling ABGA in Anambra State and the All Progressive Congress, knowing that Mr. President, who is coming from the federal government, is from the APC stock. And some members of ABGA tried to downplay, saying that there's no room for such speculation. So the government of Anambra State probably thought in that very direction by issuing a directive regarding the kind of clothes people can wear to today's event. And when I talk about the kind of attire they can adorn, the government said nobody coming to the venue should wear party uniform. Take, for instance, if you are of the APC stock, why coming to the venue, don't wear any attire that is peculiar to APC. If you have the ABGA, don't wear any uniform that is peculiar to ABGA. So the only uniform you can see here is a particular uniform meant for the reception of Mr. President. Green fabric with dotted white, and then with a crest of the coat of arms. That is the common clothes you can see. So whether you have ABGA or you have of the APC, of the PDP or whatever, if you want to wear any uniform to welcome Mr. President, that's what's allowed. So at this very venue.
So Mr. President's face is not crested on that fabric, and neither is that of the governor of Anambra. Because what I saw on social media a few minutes ago is that there is supposedly a blue background attire or material that has the face of the president and the face of the governor of Anambra State. So that's all lies.
It's a green background attire. It's a green background fabric, then with dotted white, and then with coat of arms.
I think that very fabric, Franklin, that fabric, I think has been the one Mr. First Lady Oluremi Tinubu usually distribute each time there is any event in Nigeria, because I think it's gonna be our national uniform for events. That green dotted with white seems to be the fabric for just events, and then that promotes national unity. That's one. But remember, outside the gate, the attire you talked about will be for those entering into Alex Ekweme.
So outside the local square, like if you are to stay at Aroma, where they have canopies, you can wear like now there are nurses who are dressed in their normal white. Then there's one particular T-shirt of solution program. So those ones you can see them seated around that Aroma area. But if you are coming to that very venue, Olisa Mbeki Square, you're not allowed to wear any particular party uniform. That's what the
Franklin
announcement.
And then I'm aware that if you also stretch your eye, you will understand that even outside the Mbeki Square, if you wear anything APC, there will become. In fact, the ABGA guys may not even allow you, because they may wear ABGA things, but they may not use it to get entry into the Olisa Mbeki Square, just like you said. But outside that very place, like you see those who are wearing solution something and all that, they may not allow APC supporters to wear anything APC.
I haven't seen anybody wearing ABGA uniform. What I can see is you can see people wearing solution face cap. That's what you will see there. Then you can see this 1U2 still their T-shirt too. You can see some people also wearing that. Outside that very premises.
Okay.
All right.
So that's good.
That's the situation we have right now.
Okay. Thank you for that update, Franklin.
That also it's not a political party affair. It's for project commissioning, just like we said earlier on. But Mr. President during his speech, because he's going to make multiple speeches, so he may, in praising the governor, which will be seen as endorsement for second term and things like that.
Well, fingers crossed, we see what happens. We'll surely keep you updated as developments unfold. But for now, we'll start taking the calls right after this break. Do stay.
Udala Radio, 104.7 FM.
No. Welcome, Mr. President. Anambra State Housing Development Corporation joins Mr. Governor, Professor Charles Chukwuma CFR, and the good people of Anambra State in welcoming His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, to the light of the nation. We are honored to have you in our great state. Mr. President, Anambra, the heartland of Igbo land, is delighted to host you, and we look forward to fruitful interactions and progressive engagements during your visit. Once again, no. Ekabo Asiwaju, we wish you a pleasant and successful visit to Anambra State. This message is sponsored by the Anambra State Housing Development Corporation.
Udala Radio, 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Lady, I've been trying to I was listening, very interesting happening in Anambra State. Okay, to be precise. Very interesting indeed. And then let's wait and see the outcome. I wish Mr. President Tinubu a fair journey to Anambra State. And Anambra State should do well to accord him whatever they think is a pretty welcome. Now to the issue at hand, the summit, security summit. I don't know where we're going to start from, especially with this present Senate, because we've done so many sentences that we've not even brought any of them to bear. Not one. And now they're going for another one. Any Senate president that comes wants to have his own security meeting. I don't think that is it. Security summit. What do you produce? Tell us the outcome and, of course, solution. Tell us, okay, look at, for example, Plateau State. They need to have an in-depth meeting on security there. How are they going to do it? Then you go to Niger State, yeah? Then you go to Benue State. Yes, these are important places. How can they prefer solutions to what is going on here? Then we forgot the Nakarawa people, those Nakarawa between the Kebbi State and Sokoto. Are they going to delve into that and tell us where those people are coming from? Their source of ammunition. And who is sponsoring them? Yes, that source of ammunition. And then they must tell us, who are they? I would take on Adio, Senator, to at least do the best we can. Tell us, okay, this is my own house coming. These people are coming from so place. This is what we're going to do about it. Don't just say we decided. No, say to and then now that sit on the ground and everybody says, on your mandate we start. No, we are not standing on anybody's mandate, not even our party's mandate. Tell us something that we can listen to and believe and know that it will work so that our security situation will reduce. Have a good day. Thank you.
Have a good day too. Let's hear you. Good morning. Please turn down the volume on your radio set.
Good morning, Chisom.
Good morning.
I'm Emmanuel calling from Onitsha.
Go ahead, Emmanuel.
Yeah. Welcome to Anambra State, Mr. President Tinubu. You are highly welcome. But we need good things from you before you go. Then, let's talk of this security summit. Security summit. How many times do we have security summit here in Nigeria? You know, I keep on saying this. When Nigeria or Senate President or even the President talking of security summit, I now ask, who are those people that are going to be in that security summit? Are they not all these chief of defense, chief of army staff, and all these security heads? They are the ones that are going to be in that security summit. And you want to ask yourself, all these repentant Ebuka Haram that are moving into our security person in Nigeria, where are they? Look, I believe what Badmo said. If Londoners want terrorists to stop in Nigeria, and they stop changing their name from Boko Haram to Lakorawa, to bandit, to herdsmen, if they stop giving them all this name, if they want to take decisions like Governor Anambra State take, all these things that are happening in Northern State will stop. But I want to remind us what Nnamdi Kanu told us, and that is the reason why he still remains in captivity now. That Islamization agenda is moving on. But at that time, nobody agreed with him. We call him some radio station call him all sorts of names.
You should be rounding off now.
And those things that he told us that then is happening now. So what we are going to do is to let us come together and discuss Nigeria. If you can be one, if you cannot be one, let us be mixed peacefully.
All right then. Tony Mbeki, you've heard everything that has been said. What are your last words? You're taking down the curtain.
You know, when we are talking about security summit yesterday, we took time to even reel out the times we've had it and then the resolutions that were never implemented. So what's the sense of having something you're not going to implement? And then most of these security summit, and I did say yesterday that it's like each Senate president comes up with his own security summit, and there will be money appropriated for it, budgeted for it, and then money will exchange hands. Contracts will be given for those who will bring this or bring that during the summit. It's enough for money. And at the end of the day, recommendations, communique will be issued, no implementation. So you want to hold another one and continue with such cycle is a waste of time. That is one. And then for Mr. President who is coming, you are welcome to Anambra State, the light of the nation. We've never had it so good, the way we are having it now. And thank God that so many people affirm that since the enablers of crime, like the traditional doctors, the fake ones, since government went after them, there is peace. There is peace. There is tranquility in the state as never witnessed before. So it's a good development. And the new government house that will be commissioned today, 34-year-old James broken. And we are told that that government house has 32 buildings. Not the kind of one Ibazu built in Abia State. So it's a landmark. The Solution Fund City. Maybe parents should take time to go to Solution Fund City on Sunday. That is another paradise. So it's one of the projects, Mr. President, to be commissioned.
Functional now?
After the commissioning, then you talk about, because it will be opened. Some of the pictures Soludo has been taken, we've seen the background reflecting that Solution Fund City. So the presidential lodge, because where Mr. President will be, he will be in his lodge. So some people have seen some kind of argument on social media that was the idea of praising the governor for building where